Hey, this is Andrew Brown. In this video, I wanted to take a look at AWS AppSync. So this is a service that allows you to deploy a GraphQL API that is managed by AWS. There has two modes. We have Graph API or Merged API. That's where you have multiple of these APIs rolled into one. For our data source, we're going to start with a DynamoDB table, but we're going to actually have to create a table in order for this to work. So I'm going to go over to DynamoDB, and we're going to go ahead and create ourselves a table. I'm going to call this my AppSync table. And I'm not going to have a sort key. I tried this before with and then I was like, I didn't know what to do with the sort key, so I had to delete this and start over. I'm gonna go ahead and create this on the default options here, and we'll wait for that to become active, which won't take long. So it is now active. We'll go back over to here, and we'll back out because it's not gonna know about that database, and we'll choose Start DynamoDB Table. So we have our AppSync. I'll just say AppSync API because I don't like how there's spaces in there. And we'll go down below and we will choose the table that we just created. And then we'll let it create a new service role. We'll go next and we'll add some fields. So I'm going to just put fruit in here as string. And then I'll just put a level, like it indicate like how good it is. And we'll make that an int. And the idea is that it will create the schema for us. We have two options here for resolvers. We have JavaScript or the velocity template language. I'm going to stick with JavaScript because that seems easier to utilize here. We'll scroll on down and we'll scroll back up. And I'm just looking for what we have here. We'll go ahead and create this API. So we didn't have to create the schema. It created it for us. So this is the graph STL here. And the idea is that if we need to attach resolvers, we'd have them. And so the idea is that it's done a lot of the work for us, which is really nice. Okay. And then if we go here, we could run a query, but we don't have any data. So we'll go into here and add some data. And I'm going to go and explore this. And we will, somewhere here, we can create an item. There we go. And I'm just going to put 1. And we'll add another attribute. We'll say string. This will be fruit. So we'll say apple. And I'll add an int here. Int, or number. And this will be level. And well, from level 1 to 10, like, do I like apples? Not really. I'd say they're like a 6 or a 7, so I'll put that as a 7. I'm going to go ahead and add another one. We'll put in pear, so this will be 2. And I will say string here. This will be fruit, pear. And I think pears are a lot better than apples. And so for this one, I'm going to give it an 8. Okay. And well, we have to say level here. And I'm going to add another one here. I do not like oranges, so we will add orange here. I mean, I do like orange juice if it's with a big breakfast, but generally, I won't touch the stuff. So we'll give that a 4. And so we have some data in here. And you can see I filled in some of the data. I didn't do the best job here. I'm not sure if I can just edit these here. Edit the item. Oh, no, it's there. Oh, but I didn't name it the right field, so we'll call this level. That's why. Try this again. And yeah, now our data looks correct. Okay, great. So we'll go back over to here, and we'll see if we can run a query. And it opens up, and we have some stuff here. So we can see we have our query here, and then we have more stuff and more stuff. So we'll go ahead and run it. And we'll just list. And so here we are getting a list of stuff. So we have a create my AppSync and a list my AppSync. So whether we want to insert data, I believe, or read it. So that's a nice little start. But we'll go back over to here. And the way you're going to work with AppSync is through the AWS Amplify SDK. I don't like AWS Amplify, but they happen to take a lot of the client-side APIs or drivers, whatever you want to call them, for like Cognito and Amplify, and they package it under there. So you have to use AWS Amplify even if you don't like it. Luckily, the thing is that AWS Amplify is modular. I'm going to go over to our AWS examples repo. I'm going to open this up, and we will create a new folder called AppSync. So just give this a moment here to load. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, and you can see we're getting pretty large here, so I'm having a hard time making new folders, but I'm just going to go ahead here and say File, New Folder. Can I make a new folder? Nope. I'll just go down here and say mkdir AppSync. And so now I have an AppSync folder here, and we will go ahead and just create a new readme.md for now. just in case we want to do something with that. And so we need to go ahead and install Amplify. So that's going to be the first thing we're going to do. So say install. I'm waiting for my Vim commands to kick in here. Come on, Vim. There we go. And we'll say install Amplify. For this environment, whoops, I don't want to install it there. I want to cd into the AppSync directory. And we'll go ahead and install it there. And so once that's installed, then we can go ahead and configure the next steps. So we have this download configuration. So that has our AWS exports.js, which we need to reference. When we were doing the Amplify tutorial, which we never really finished, this was referencing a file that was never generated, which was really frustrating. We will need to generate a base application out of here. So I do need something, but we will find out here in just a moment. Because all I really want to do here is query some data. Oh, we could also just use this snippet, which is nice, but I guess it would also have that API key in place. So now that we have this, I'm going to drag over this file, this AWS AppSync file, or this file, because this has our API key, which you don't want to share with other people. I'm going to add a git ignore in here just so that we don't include this into the repo here, exports. JS. I'm gonna go back over here, just making sure that's not there. I also don't want the node modules directory, so we'll just exclude that as well. And just again, make sure that that is not there. Give this a refresh. There we go. So that is much more simplified. And so yeah, we have that file. I need to set up an npm project. So I'm just kind of deciding here. We'll say npm init -y so that it creates the file. And I am in AppSync, so we now have a package.json. And so I'm going to make a new file here. I call this main.js. I guess I'm just trying to like guess on how to utilize this. I'm pretty good with JavaScript, so I think I can figure this out. But I don't really want to use this with a framework. I just want to run this in the simplest fashion that we can. So here we're configuring Amplify. Okay, and it says you can use the Amplify toolchain to auto-generate strongly typed SDKs for your API. That sounds good. Generate models for Android, Swift, and Extra. That sounds fine as well. I just want to do a simple query here. And I just want to do it with regular JavaScript. I'm going to go to this application for the React app. Because again, I don't want a full-blown application here. I just want to utilize the most basic stuff that I can. This is using React scripts. Again, I don't care about that. I'm going to go over into the source directory. Index.js, and I'm just looking for where they might be using this code in this React app. I don't want to build a whole React app here today. We do have GraphQL over here, so we do have some stuff set up here. Maybe it's an app.js that it's being utilized. So here we're seeing the client. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask ChatGPT to see if it can write me out some code because I really don't want to dig through this all day. I just want a simple example that we can query data here, okay? So give me just a moment. All right, so it looks like we have an example here, and I started following through what I was kind of doing here. And so we configured this, but we didn't do this. We loaded it with an external file. And so here they're saying define the GraphQL query and execute, for instance, if you have GraphQL schema with a query to fetch the tools. So that could be an example how we do this. Okay. So again, I just want this to work in the most simplest fashion. So we'll go back over to here, and it was showing us over here when we were querying this here. So run a query. And, you know, again, I just wonder if there's something that we can pull from here. I always forget how to do this, but here we have a query. So after running the create AppSync, try running this query. So the idea is that these are the things that we can use in order to do that. I forget if those are the resolvers or not, or whatever you want to call them. We'll go to data source here. No. Schema. Mutations, right? So a resolver is connected to a field data source when requested, etc. And then we have our mutations. And so basically, these are the ones that we can use, utilize, or call. Okay, so that's where that is coming from. But I want to go back over here, back to our API here. And again, basically what we want is this code here, I think. So if we grab this, copy, I'm going to bring this back over to here. And I'm going to go down the line. I'm just going to paste this in here for just a moment. And then I'm going to drag this all the way down. We'll go back over to ChatGPT, and we will grab some stuff. This is using a require, which is not exactly what I want. So I'm going to do import here and hopefully change this over. I don't have this graph tag thing, so I'm going to just go ahead and install that. npm install hyphen save GraphQL tag and see if that works. So I think that added the package. We can go take a look here and see if that's the case. Yep, it amplifies there as well. So if that works, I'll be happy. I don't care. And so we'll grab this here. I think there's like other ways to define it. So like you can generate out models. I think that's what it was talking about before, where it would have the structure and then you'd call it. But I just want to keep this as simple as possible. So if we go back over to here, we have amplify. This one is calling API. I mean, if it works, it works. I don't care. So I'm going to just go here and type in API. Hopefully that is a thing that we can do. It looks a little bit suspicious, but I'm going to trust ChatGPT this one time to produce code. If it doesn't, it's not a big deal. I can still figure it out. But anyway, so here we are. And this will be our query. I'm just going to rename this so it's a little bit nicer. Query. And this will be our data. And our data. Okay, so it looks very simple. I'm going to go over to our package.json, and I'm going to go to our start script. And this is going to be very simple. We're just going to say node main.js, and hopefully that's just going to work. So I'll type in clear here for no reason, and I'm going to type in npm start. And we have an issue already. There's a syntax error. So I'll pull this up for a second. After the property or value of the JSON position in 248. Node.js package must actually be JSON and not JavaScript. Oh, over here, sorry. We'll put a comma here. That was our issue. We'll hit npm start. And it has a problem with the import to load an ES module, type module in the package JSON. So it's just the style of package that it doesn't like. So I think that's something that should be really easy to fix. So saying to load an ES module type, set type module in the package. Okay, so we'll go ahead and try that, and hopefully that will just work. That'd be nice if it does. I'd be cool with that. It says, AWS Amplify does not have an export named API. And that's what I was worried about because I really didn't think that there was one there. So, I don't know if we could just put Amplify here, if that would work. Be nice if it was, but this is where we might have ChatGPT lying to us. So ChatGPT is lying to us. Of course it is. So give me a moment. I'll go figure this out, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run this line. I really don't want to, but I'm going to run it anyway because ChatGPT was just totally lying to us. And I'll say yes. And I'm really hoping that it doesn't dump a bunch of stuff into my project. I really do not like running the AWS Amplify CLI for any reason. But hopefully what it will do is generate out the files that we need in order to interact with this. Oh, I already start not liking this already. None. JavaScript. Sure. Yeah, I don't care. Do you want to generate for all operations? Yeah, sure. Enter the maximum statement depth. Leave it alone to 2. Okay, so it downloaded our data over here into the source. And so now we actually have some files that we can work with. Let's go take a look at what we have here. So we have subscriptions. Okay, and notice that it's basically defining something very similar to this. I think we have queries. There it is. So this is that query here, okay? So I pointed out as mutations. I kind of forgot those were 3 different things. And it looks similar, but it's different. So clearly this is not going to do anything for us here today. So I can just take that out here. And this is obviously junk, so we'll take that out. But yeah, we have our definitions, and that's great, but we still need to know how to call this. And I kind of wish that they showed us here. So what I'm going to do is, I guess, go over to the Amplify docs. I really didn't want to go here and check the docs. And we'll go over to REST API or API GraphQL. And I want to take a look at reading data application. And so here we have to import our query. So we'll go back over to here. Can't believe I used ChatGPT. I knew it wasn't going to work. ChatGPT is dumb as bricks. Sorry. So we have that. We have generate client up here. I'm a bit confused. Why do we have generate client? Oh, that one's the API. That's why. Okay, so we'll undo that. And I'm going to grab this line here. And I'll put this below as such. And we'll go back over to here. And I mean, it has something similar. Not exactly the same. I think I want to grab all that code here. And we'll paste this in here. Okay, and so there's going to be some adjustments we're going to need to make. So we have queries, and the query we want to grab, if we go back to our queries here, is our list AppSync. We'll paste that in there. And this is just going to be our data. And I'll just type in data here. I don't want this result here. And simple query, fetch a single record by its identifier. I don't want to do that here today. I just want all the data. So if this works, I will call this a success, and then we can call it quits. There's obviously a lot more going on here with GraphQL, but it really depends if I feel that the exams require it. So if you see more labs for me, then you know that I came across more stuff. Cannot find module, et cetera, et cetera. So it's saying it cannot find it. That's because we aren't in the source directory. So what I'm going to do is drag this main into our source directory. I'm going to move that. And I'm going to go back over to our, yes, move that, please. I'm going to go back over to here, and then I'm just going to do source main. And we'll try this again and see if that works. We are still having an issue with the import. So that's a little bit of a pain. I mean, the AWS, the exports is now in another spot, so I actually have to go up 2 directories to get to it. I think. Well, source is here. So you can't find the queries. From what path? So here it's going workspace, AppSync, queries imported from here. Can't find it. Okay, just give me a moment, all right? All right, so I fiddled around with a bit, and so I went up a directory here, and then I put .js on the end here because apparently it needs the .js. And so if I do this, we actually get data being returned. We got this structure here, and we do have items, but it isn't the most useful display. So I think what I'd like to do is do a for loop here. So I'm going to do for each, I guess I forget how to do for eaches. For each JS as an example here. Yeah, okay, so it's something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. Hopefully this will just work. I could also just do a manual for each. I know those pretty darn well. And so in here, we have our data returned. And then we have the actual list, my AppSync, and then we have our items. Okay, and so this is what I would like to log here. And I'm not sure why it has a problem with the arrow. I don't really trust the arrow, so I'm just going to do this the old-fashioned way. So what I'm going to do is, I think I was supposed to do it on this side. Yeah, sorry. It was data. Data, list, and then items. Right? Okay, and so we'll try this again. Cannot read property items. You sure about that? It's right there. Okay, let me just try to do this one step at a time and see what happens. So we do this. And now it's undefined. Okay. Just give me a moment. Oh, you know why I think this is not working? It says data and then data on the inside. So I'm thinking maybe it's data. So let me just take a look there. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and then we have data items. So I think that's what we want here. You gotta be careful when you read this stuff. Okay, we'll try this again. There we go. Okay, great. So that is our very simple example of using AppSync. There's definitely a lot more that you can do with this, but again, you know, unless it requires it, I'm going to keep it to the bare minimum here because I just don't see it necessary to go full blown here. I'm going to go ahead and just save this. So we'll just say GraphQL example or AppSync example. And we'll go ahead and do some cleanup. So I want to get rid of our database. Before we do that, I'm going to just tear down our API. So we'll delete this. Say AppSync API. And then I'm going to go over to DynamoDB. And we'll go back here and we will just delete this. Confirm. Yeah, we'll delete all those. I don't want to back up. And there we go. So, yeah, that's it. And I will see you in the next one. Okay, ciao.